Hey everyone, Philaris here with the final segment from the Ekko Jungle Coaching VOD. This one covers backtimers and the importance of staying synced up with your team in the mid and late game. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy my content. It really helps out a lot. Okay, now what I want to look at here is I want to see what you do after taking this tower.
I think I try to go take his camps,
Okay.
and then I see that nothing's up, so I back off.
And then this is fine up until now, checking if the Gromp is up. If you go to Krugs here, this is disastrous.
Should I have back?
Yes, because what I want you to notice is number one, you have a lot of gold, right? You can get your boots, you can get Darksteel, whatever. You can get boots, stopwatch, whatever. What I want you to notice is you're now the sole person completely unaligned from everyone else's respawn timer, right? Your bot lane died. She's respawning, coming back up. Their guys died, respawning, coming back up. Right here, pushing tower fine. Right here, as soon as you see this Gromp isn't here, this was a pretty appropriate time to leave and back. Because then you're going to be synced up with everyone else, right? You'll have your fresh buy. You'll be coming back out onto the map with everyone else, ready for something to happen, right? Ready for a play. Now, think about what happens, what you're relegating yourself and your team to by going back for your bot side camps here. Number one, you already had a good buy, right? You're either stuck staying on the map, farming all these camps with a huge amount of gold, so you're way weaker than you're supposed to be, or you take your bot side, then back while everyone else is on the map together, and you're back in Fountain, right? It's a disastrous game state. For sure. Also, just be aware that you're also potentially wasting out the red buff, right? If you're just
because I'm
farm
just
it
backing
out.
with it and like not getting any value after of having the buff in the
Whereas
first
if you
place.
just backed, Sivir could have come out, taken the red. While you guys are coming back out, maybe you take a few camps and then you go wherever your team is, right? If the team line is back here, you can just farm your camps. If the team's starting to push up heavily, you go with the team, right? And maybe counter jungle his camps. But you're completely unaligned from everyone at this point. So you're much weaker than you should be if something potentially happens. Let's see, looks like you continue up for a full clear. Everyone's reset when you kill this Gromp. Everyone's back out on the map. Think about what happens if you back here. You can't, right? Everyone's out on the map. Everyone's fighting. If you back right now, it's a 4v5 on the map. Your team might int it, right? And I think you recognize this. You're pathing out, but look at how much gold you have, right? Basically, only half of your gold is actually expended into items right now, and the other half is just like latent potential. Okay.
We get into a bit of a skirmish here with Graves and the Senna.
Okay, right? It's good that you're staying because your team line's all the way up here, right? You don't want to be in base at this timer. But what's not ideal is this down here.
The fact that I have
you
like
had
so
points to back.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes there's so much happening and you're still so healthy and ahead that it's okay to stay with a lot of gold. But it's generally not great to be sitting on like 2k, 3k, right? Generally not great. So I want you to recognize that you had two different back points that you could have taken. But now you're kind of forced to stay out here with this much gold. Okay. Now you're backing when... Okay. Yeah, see, you're smart about this. You recognize your team's all the way up here, so it makes sense to stay. But it's like... not an ideal time. So this could have been prevented in advance. Like another common scenario where this happens is like your team takes Baron together, and then like 4 people back together, and one guy stays
And then
to take
one
another
guy's still
couple
there.
camps, right? Because he needs the gold, and then he has a desync timer. He resets while everyone else is on the map, and they take a 4v5 and they die, and the dude's just sitting there like, what the fuck? Why did you guys fight? But you need to look at it as that one guy was the one that was desynced. So it was his responsibility if he decided to stay on the map and desync from the rest of his team. It was his responsibility to ping really heavily, communicate really heavily for them to please wait for him, right? Exactly. So in this case, okay, you had to take the reset there, but you didn't ping. That's on you if they die. No matter how obvious it is, it's on you if they die if you didn't communicate it. That's how you have to look at it.
Okay. And then here we go mid. I wanted to draw Rift.
But do you notice how now your carries are resetting? Everything's like kind of fucky.
Weird. Yeah.
They're resetting when you're back out on the map. You're resetting when they're back out on the map. It's just not a great. It's not always wrong, but it's like not a great thing to have happen a lot, right? Okay, now this is a really bad Gromp take. Look at where your team is, right? They're pushing up
They're
all
all
the way
there.
onto the inhib. You're down here. Um,
Yeah. So that's why I asked you that question from before about how important it was to actually keep up with taking the camps after
mhm.
the mid game. And now I see that this is a terrible idea because I actually do want to be with my team. All of that stuff starts becoming less important.
Right. Now, if you only needed 100 gold for a base, now, like, if it was a macro read and you were like, okay, guys, we have a lot of gold. We don't want to overstay. We all have big item purchases, and then we can threaten Baron, right? There's no need to overstay. Then what you can do is you spam ping them off. You ping that you're on the way to the Gromp and say, let's reset, right? Let's reset and pressure Baron. Then that's fine, right? You communicated your intentions and you got your team on the same page. This isn't fine. Your team is like 3v4, 3v5 up here, pushing in, and you're down at a Gromp that doesn't get you anything, right? It gets you level 12, okay. You probably would have gotten level 12 passively off some creeps dying anyways. And it doesn't get you to any like gold spike that's important. Because think about it this way: if you get an item that gives you like either more utility, more damage for the fight, right? What's the purpose if you're not even in the fight, right?
Right.
The item is meaningless. So all this is going on, and you're at Gromp.
Then I see that they're all fighting, but Vlad still comes in and just does a bunch of damage. Sivir cleans up.
Right. So your team basically won without you there, for no
Yeah.
reason because you were with them. So again, what I have to say in situations like this is a good rule of thumb is ping or go. I say this a lot. If everyone on your team is making an aggressive play together, they're all on the same page, and you decide that you don't want to go to it, at the bare minimum, you need to ping and communicate that you're not going, right? Because look from their perspective, they're like, all right, we're fucking ahead. We're huge. We have Vlad ult. We have Leona ult. Ekko was right here with us. Let's go, right? That's their mindset. They're not checking the map every 5 seconds. I guarantee you, at least two of these guys right here have no idea you left. They don't
That
know.
I'm over there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because nobody checks that often, especially in lower brackets. They're looking. Leona's looking for an ult right now. That's what she's looking for. And she's gonna go in, and she's not even gonna realize you weren't there. So at the bare minimum, you need to ping and communicate that you weren't going. Ideally, you would have went, but sometimes if you like extrapolate, sometimes it's better to back off, right? If everyone has 2k gold and it's an overstay and if you die, it's awful, right? Then you can like ping everyone off and communicate that it's time to leave.
Yeah, but in this specific instance, it was bad because
Yeah,
we all just came from base. We're all strong. We're all ahead, and I'm just over there at Gromp minding my own business.
exactly. Like I want you to notice how in basically starting from right here, this is where you desynced from your team, and you've been desynced all the way up until that play. 15 minutes
Mm-hmm.
in, all the way up until here. The last 5 minutes, you have not been in the game, essentially. You've been on the fringe, you've been there farming camps, you've been kind of there, but you haven't been in a position where you can really do all that much, right? You haven't been placing yourself in the right spots. And that's tough on your team as well because they were in a position. You have good engaged champs where stuff could have happened, and they've been playing without a jungler for 5 minutes, even though you're not in a bad spot in the game. Looks like they took care of business though, and the enemy team just FF'd.
Yeah, they just FF'd after that fight.
Yeah. But it should be pretty clear. Like the last 5 minutes, you just haven't been in the game for the most part, right?
Hmm.
Based on where you decided to place yourself, desyncing your back timers when it was a really appropriate timer to back at two different points, and then like breaking off from your team when they're all together. I would just like pay a little bit more attention once it gets to like maybe the 15, 20, 25 minute mark, the mid game, late game. Stuff comes more down to like team rotations, right? It doesn't mean it's not okay to break off, but you want to be more cognizant of your team rotations and being roughly with your team line and resetting roughly at the proper times, right? Instead of this, because everyone's resetting except you. That's all for this video. You can find a link to my new server in the video description below. A big thank you to my patrons for helping to make this channel possible.